Hello, in this video I'll walk you through how the ACRO viewer looks like and how you as an output checker can use it. But before looking at the viewer, let's start the process from the beginning and see how the researcher will produce the results folder that needs to be checked by you. Assuming that the researcher is using ACRO in R, and at this point I'll act as the researcher who will produce some research outputs. So first of all, I'll start by installing the ACRO package from CRAN and then loading this package to the R session. Before using any of the other ACRO functions, I need to call ACRO init to initiate an ACRO session. This information is telling me that the automatic suppression is false, which means any disclosive output will not be automatically suppressed, and I need to manually do something about it, either to delete it or update it, or maybe send an exception to the output checker saying that this output is not disclosive and give reasoning for that. Now I'm loading my research data, which is the nursery dataset from OpenML. I'm doing some pre-processing for the data. In this cell, I'm changing the column children from category to numeric. Now I'm ready to start the research. I'll start by producing an output, which is a cross-tabulation between the index health and the column parents. ACRO will give me an immediate feedback about this output, whether it passes the disclosure checks or not. So this output, the summary of this output is pass, and this output is more likely to be accepted by the output checkers. And here is the actual table I've produced. The second output, I'm doing a cross-tabulation between the index recommend and the columns parents. And let's see the output of this command. So this output fails the disclosure checks. It fails a couple of rules: the threshold, the B ratio, and the NK rule. And you can see here the actual output. Knowing that this output fails the check, I need to do something about it. So I decided to add an exception to the output and send it to the output checker saying that this output is not disclosive, and hoping that the output checker will accept this reasoning and approve this output. I decided to do a histogram for the column children, so I called the function ACROHist, which will produce the histogram for me. I can see the histogram here created in the folder ACRO artifacts, and I can open it here. Then I decided to add my code to the list of outputs. So knowing that ACRO has a function called ACRO custom output, which will add unsupported output by ACRO to the ACRO session. So I use that function to add my code to the outputs. Now I'm done with my research and I want to finish it and create the output folders. So I call the function ACRO finalize. But as you can see here, it's asking me to give an exception for the histogram output. And in the summary, it's saying, please check the minimum and the maximum values, knowing that the minimum is 1 and the maximum is 10. So I can say that, send a message to the output checker saying that I've checked the minimum and maximum, and this output is not disclosive. It's asking me to give this output, which is the code I've added to the list of outputs, an exception as well. So knowing that my code is not disclosive, I'll just say it's not disclosive and I need it. So this code is not disclosive and I need it, please. Now the output folder has been created and I can send it directly to the output checkers for it to be checked. Now I'm done. I'll act now as an output checker to see how can I view the results of this research. So I'll use the ACRO viewer and it will ask me to choose a directory which contains the outputs you wish to review. And I'll select this folder. Now this is the viewer. You can see all the list of outputs on the left side. So I have 4 outputs, and then you can see the risk profile, which is the specific rules for your organization. For example, the safe threshold for your organization is 10 participants, and so on. You can view each output by clicking at it, and if you click at output 0, you can see that when was it created, what is the type of this output, which in this case is a cross tabulation, and then what ACRO thinks about this output. So ACRO status is pass in this case, and here you can approve or reject this output according to your knowledge and what you think. And you can see the output here at the bottom. So in this example, I'll approve this output and I'll add a comment that this output is safe to be released. You can see here that this output has been ticked as approved. The second output, which is output 1, you can see the ACRO status is fail, and it's showing you why was it failing. So which rules were violated in this case. And then you can see that the researcher has sent you an exception request saying that this output is not disclosive. But when looking at the output, you can see that the researcher has not done anything about the cells that are disclosive. So you still have this cell which violates the threshold, the B ratio, and the NK rule. So maybe you will reject this output and add a comment saying that this output is disclosive. Or giving your reasoning about why you are rejecting this output. Then you can see here there is a histogram, and in this case it's asking you to review this output. You can also see an exception request from the user saying that, or from the researcher saying that I've checked the minimum and the maximum and this output is not disclosive, and there is a message here saying that the minimum value of is 1 and the maximum is 10. So you need to check that if the minimum is 1 and the maximum is 10, and then maybe you can give a comment and then approve this request or this output. So and then approve it. The last output, it's a custom output, as you can see here. So probably the ACRO status is unknown, or actually it's unknown because ACRO cannot handle unsupported outputs. So you need to check that manually. You can see here the code or the output, which in this case is a code, and then if it's safe, you need to add a comment and then approve it. And now you are done approving or rejecting all the outputs. So you can release and download the outputs. And here, if you have any concern or any significant changes are needed, you can write your thoughts here. So in this case, I'll write that I've checked all the outputs and approved 3 outputs and rejected 1. And then submit it. You can see here that you have viewed 4 outputs, you have approved 3 of them, and you have rejected 1 of them. You can download the approved outputs, and you can download the review summary you have done. So let's see. So here is a summary showing that all your comments or your status, if you approved as output or rejected it. Once you are done with that, you can close this window and you are good to go. Thank you.